in, maybe share, since you made the decision to join the Jackets, what you've come to know about the organization, maybe who you've talked to.
Yeah, I talked to John Davidson. I've talked to Torts a little bit, a couple of the guys via text. I was texting Cam this weekend, and he said that he just had a little baby boy, so I wasn't able to catch up with him because I think he's a little busy right now. So, but yeah, just been able to get introduced to the franchise and the team, and meet people slowly and get acclimatized.
What, if anything, can you share from your conversation with Torts?
He's a very normal guy. You know, I've never come in contact with him before that, so you don't. I hadn't judged him. I think he speaks his mind, which, you know, nowadays is sometimes frowned upon, but I think it's a great attribute. I think he's honest, and he just seemed like a real upfront, honest guy. And as a coach, I mean, that's all I can really ask for.
You were on a pretty good team in Boston, and this is not a bad little team either. What do you think you can add to the Blue Jackets moving forward this year?
I just try to add a little bit. I think they have, you know, the foundation in place. You know, over the last 4 or 5 years, they've built to be a franchise, or a playoff team each and every year. And, you know, see last year where they're 2 games away from beating the Capitals, and the Caps end up going on to win the Stanley Cup. So you see it's so close and it's so tight in this league. So just trying to bring a little bit of what my experience was in Boston, and I think they have some of the best leaders in the game, and Chara, Bergeron, Marshy. You know, even though he's a little wild off on the ice sometimes, I think he's a great person and a really tremendous leader. Krejci. So you learn from those guys, and definitely not going to come in here and shake it up, because I know that the leadership core here is very strong as well. Just try and add a little bit different perspective on certain things, and try and, you know, add a couple % here and there and try and get us over the hump.
You talked about the playoffs. How important is it to come to a team, or what drew your interest to a team that's been in the playoffs the past few years, as opposed to maybe, you know, the Blue Jackets being a below 500 team for a while? I mean, what made you want to come to Columbus? Yeah,
that was definitely one of the main reasons. I'm obviously 29 now, so at this point in your career, after being in the playoffs for a couple of years, you're not getting any younger for sure. So you want to go to a team that's in contention and trending in the right direction. And I played against Columbus over the last couple of years, and you can see just the way they're going and the way they're trending. And obviously last year they were 2 wins away from winning their first ever playoff series. So I think they're right on the cusp, and hopefully I can just bring a little bit extra, and I think everybody else's experience as well will help and hopefully get us over that hump.
Speaking of experiences with Columbus, were you here in the building in 2007, or just watching on TV?
I was, yeah. That was my first ever trip to Columbus, and it ended up being a good one. Yeah, I was drafted to Edmonton at that point, and yeah, my parents were here, so I have a lot of good memories in this building.
How long did you spend around town around that time? I mean, did you get in the night before? Did you get to do some sightseeing? I mean, how familiar are you with the city proper?
Back then it felt really foreign, but even 10 years later I was driving around Short North, and I think it's Goodale Park, and we were staying right in that area, and I remember I'm having flashbacks of walking through there with my parents. So I was here for about 5 or 6 days, so now I kind of understand where I was a little bit more. I got a tour of German Village, Short North, Victorian Village, Italian Village, kind of been all over the place, so I have my bearings a lot better now.
Who's your tour guide then?
My girlfriend was here this weekend, and then we were looking at some properties just to try and figure out housing for the next couple of years.
Well, everybody I've ever talked to with the Bruins talks about Patrice Bergeron in this really elevated way, like they really admire him. Just wondering, playing around him, playing the same position as he does, what did you draw from him? What did you learn from him in your time in Boston?
Well, yeah, he's like an incredible player, and then he's an even better person. So I think anyone that's ever come in contact with him has that same opinion, and just thinks he's a first-class human, and I'd be no different. And just seeing the way he works every day, you know, practice, he's one of the hardest working guys out there. He'll stay on late after and work on little things that he needs to do. He's always helpful with the younger guys, with me, just talking things over, not just imparting his wisdom, but asking me about what my experience was like, and drawing off mine as well. So it's kind of like a friendly banter between us where you're kind of learning off each other. And I think that's one of the things that, you know, speaks to him, is he's always continuing to grow and learn, and eager to find new ways to try and better himself.
You got a taste of top 6 time last year with some injuries in Boston. Wondering if could you have gone back to Boston in the same role you were in? Was that possible, or did you want to head out and maybe give yourself a better chance at becoming more relied upon player for things beyond just check?
I was open to any situation. I haven't really, you know, throughout my career, I've been all over the place in the lineup. You know, 4th line winger, 3rd line center, 1st line playing with Marshy and Pasternak last year. So I just try and look at my game and what I bring and how it fits in. And I think in this team, I think what I can bring, you know, kind of suited this style. I was open to going back to Boston, obviously, but you know, when you have a good season like that, you got to make a little bit of a business decision as well, and so that's kind of how things ended up there. And couldn't be more happy to be here and end up in a spot like this. And I think the fit has been, you know, as I kind of look at the roster and look at the team, I think the fit will be really good.
You're 29, in your prime, I guess most would think.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Are you sort of looking forward now to a bigger role, a more offensive role, I should say?
I think that comes if you perform. You know, if you're performing offensively, you hope that you're given more responsibility in that capacity. I don't think anyone's just handed to it. Maybe some of the guys like Panarin and Dubois and Atkinson, they're obviously counted on, and they'll get a lot of opportunity in which they've earned. But, you know, I think for a lot of guys, it's just if you're performing offensively and being responsible defensively, you just hope to get a little bit extra ice time here and there, a little bit more responsibility from the coach, and a little bit more trust. So I'll be no different from that. And, you know, if other guys are playing extremely well, then, you know, they deserve it. And if I'm playing well, hopefully I'll be able to earn that too.
You're not the first Nash to wear a jersey here, and you're just a teammate with the other one. And you have fun with it all? You think maybe the casual fan out there could be a little confused when they, you know, turn on opening night? Or
yeah, the first day that we traded for Rick, I got about 30 text messages about what are we gonna do with the name bar. I'm like, they'll figure it out. That's out of my hands. So, even the sports apps, they didn't quite pick up on it. So people thought I was scoring every other night. And I'm like, you got to know better than that. No. He's a great guy, first and foremost, and I hope that whatever's going on, he figures out, and I hope all the best for him. I know he's left an impression and lasting remark here, so definitely not trying to live up to his standards, just going to try and blaze my own trail, carve my own path, so hopefully I'm able to do that.
Have you talked to Rick Nash at all about Columbus at any point?
His wife was the one that set us up with the real estate agent, so my girlfriend and his wife are in contact quite a bit. That she's a pretty funny gal. She's got a big personality too. So, yeah, they're a great couple, and we enjoyed our short time with them for sure.
I take it you've ruled out wearing number 61?
I think so. Yeah. I think I'm sticking to 20. Yeah.
Riley, you're so good at helping get the puck out of the defensive zone with control to help drive that offense and getting those opportunities. This team likes to do that too, activate from the back end. Was that something you were aware of? Is that part of what the fit is for you?
Big time. You know, playing against them, that was one of the keys, is making sure that you get your F2 and F3 back. That's like your low guys in the offensive zone, and making sure that D-man activating, because they are going a lot. They got some really mobile D-men back there. So it's one of those things for them that is a really big attribute, and as an opposing team, you need to make sure that you're aware of and cognizant of. So hopefully I can add to that and allow those D-men to be even more mobile and more of an offensive threat.
As a center, how do you complement guys who play so active offensively when they're in the defensive zone?
I think just awareness. You know, I think last year in the playoffs, you saw more and more defense in below, like the top of the circles, in deep in the offensive zone, and you see kind of the trouble it causes, that D zone coverage. So I think it's a great way to play. I think it causes a lot of miscommunication, a lot of open guys then. And it's just awareness to where your D-men are. And obviously, if you know that they're going to be active a lot, then you're going to be a little bit more cognizant of it.
Aaron asked you too about getting more offensive opportunities, but you are so strong defensively. You shut down opponents. You limit their shot attempts. Where does that come from? How does one get to be so strong in those skills?
I don't know. I think just having good line mates and communicating and knowing who you're out there against. When I first tried to come into the league, I was in the American League, and I knew I wasn't going to be, a top point getter. So I figured I should remodel my game or try and focus on other areas that might allow me to get into the NHL and then stick. And so obviously it's paid off trying to work on those, like penalty killing and being defensively responsible, and then adding that offensive ability kind of throughout your career. I think in Carolina I had some good seasons that were cut short due to injuries and whatnot, and that's more luck than anything. So just having a full season under my belt where I didn't really have any lulls, and I thought I played consistently for 80 or 77 games, whatever it was. Hopefully I can keep that up.
Riley, any thoughts on why last year was a breakout season for you? Was it just that you were getting the opportunity, or something else on top of that?
If there was a magic formula, I wish I had it. No, I think it was just a year where I was comfortable from the get-go. Coach obviously put a lot of faith in me and had a lot of trust in me. Was in some pretty good spots, played with some pretty good players, and then I was able to capitalize on chances that I had. I think my shooting percentage was up, so that was much better. I've always felt in years past that I haven't quite bared down and put the puck in the net as much as I should have, and so I think that was one of the keys. And then what I said earlier, just being consistent. It's a long year, and you play 82 games, and you're going to have some dips. But if you can keep those to a game and a half, and get back on that upswing as fast as possible, then you're going to have a much more successful season than getting in like a 4 or 5 game slump and letting that kind of prolong itself. So getting out of those as fast as possible.
You have apparently had a confusing text exchange with Nick Foligno right after you signed with Columbus. Is that correct? You thought it was it was Fligs?
Yeah, I got a text from him, and it didn't have a name on it, so I didn't, I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't going to ask if it was towards it. I'm not going to send him a message back saying, "Is this you?" Or so. Yeah. So yeah, it was funny, and we haven't quite caught up, but left each other a couple of voicemails, and he sounds like a really nice guy. Look forward to meeting him.